DeepSeek is an affordable artificial intelligence model developed by a Chinese startup company over a year ago. DeepSeek is becoming the fastest-growing AI application in the world, with 22 million users after just 20 days of release. Recently, DeepSeek has become an extremely hot and prominent keyword on social media and media platforms as a tool replacing ChatGPT, thanks to its outstanding advantages and much lower cost. People have started to talk about the collapse of OpenAI and the decline of NVIDIA. Broadly, there is speculation that AI bubbles will gradually burst and return to their original value in the near future. So, what is the story behind this new DeepSeek AI? What has made it a threat to AI companies in recent times? And what future does the artificial intelligence market hold in the near future? What is DeepSeek? First, let's understand a few details about this new AI model. DeepSeek is an artificial intelligence company founded in 2023 by Li Wenfeng, who currently serves as the CEO. In addition, Wenfeng is also the co-founder of the high-flyer quantitative hedge fund, which is the investor and owner of DeepSeek. Currently, the main product of the company in 2024 and 2025 is an AI chatbot built on a large language model, LLM, with the latest model being DeepSeek R1, which has been the center of recent excitement about the rise of artificial intelligence models from the country of 1 billion people. Little has been disclosed about the rest of the company. The CEO and founder of DeepSeek are not frequently seen in the media, and there is little information about the leadership structure and development strategy. So let's focus on the company's product, which is the AI chatbot models. Why is DeepSeek attracting attention? The reason this AI model has recently garnered much attention is due to the optimization in the training process and the construction of this chatbot, which is reported to outperform previous AI models. The most frequently compared AI model at the moment is ChatGPT. So, what makes DeepSeek special? According to reports from the DeepSeek V3 model at the end of 2024, which is the predecessor of R1, this is a language model with a total number of parameters of 671 billion, of which each token, meaning each word or character from the answer returned, uses 37 billion parameters to generate this information. What does this prove to us? DeepSeek is a large language model, or simply put, a model that uses massive data from around the world as raw material for the AI's responses. Therefore, minimizing the number of parameters needed for each character output by the AI model will make the AI's responses faster, saving time and resources significantly compared to models that use excessive parameters without much value. Moreover, DeepSeek V3 does not only impress due to parameter optimization. Also in the report on this model, it only took 2,788,000,000 hours of GPU H800 to complete the training process. We need to understand this a bit. This is the number of continuous hours to run a single H800 GPU to train the AI model. However, in AI companies, the number of GPUs used can reach tens of thousands of high-performance GPUs for training. For example, if DeepSeek used 10,000 GPUs to train, it would only take 278.8 hours. They did not disclose how many GPUs they used. In comparison to GPT-4 from OpenAI, 60 million GPU hours is the number calculated when this company used 25,000 NVIDIA A100 GPUs. And they ran continuously for 90 to 100 days to train GPT-4, with the hardware alone costing $63 million. It should be noted that the H800 GPU is a lower-end line, reduced in performance compared to the A100 to be marketed in China due to past US trade restrictions. So, with the resources that DeepSeek used to train its V3 model, what is notable about the power of this AI? For all tasks, from mathematics and programming to multitasking, DeepSeek V3 outperforms GPT-4, Qwen 1.5, and other models from Qwen and Llama. However, it still lags behind Sonnet's model, Claude AI 3.5, in multitasking. Thus, we can see that even though it consumes fewer resources than OpenAI's models, DeepSeek V3's power is still extremely impressive. This shows the level and limitations of the artificial intelligence market in China, gradually showing a certain difference compared to the rest of the world. Now, let's briefly move on to DeepSeek R1, the latest version released in January, which became the company's first generation to use a model with reasoning capabilities. To achieve this, in addition to maintaining the resource optimization of V3, DeepSeek successfully implemented reinforcement learning RL on the R1 model. You can simply understand this as a learning technique that involves trial and error until the optimal solution is found within the AI's processing capability. Thanks to its reasoning ability and reinforcement learning method, DeepSeek R1 is expected to become a significant advancement in the race for artificial intelligence, gradually moving toward artificial superintelligence. In terms of computational power and energy, DeepSeek R1 is comparable to OpenAI's O1-1217 model in tasks involving mathematics, coding, and multitasking. However, it still falls short in reasoning and deep reasoning tasks compared to OpenAI's competitor. Overall, we can see that DeepSeek is not only saving on training resources compared to other models. DeepSeek 5.3 was already a highly powerful AI compared to other models at the time, and now, with R1's improved reasoning capabilities through reinforcement learning, it promises even better results. But that's not all we're discussing. Let's step outside of the technical aspect and focus on the impact that DeepSeek has on the world now and in the future. Things DeepSeek is challenging the world with. First, with the optimization in the use of software and hardware resources as mentioned above, DeepSeek is showing us that we no longer need extremely powerful GPUs or massive AI training infrastructures like those seen in the early days of the AI market. This is also why NVIDIA's stock, the GPU provider for most AI companies, experienced its biggest drop in history, losing 17% of its stock value in just one day, causing the company's total market capitalization to disappear by $589 billion at the time DeepSeek R1 was launched. Not only NVIDIA, but other companies involved in AI, such as Meta, Google, and Oracle, also saw some reactions when indices like the S&P 500 dropped by 1.5%, and tech company indices on the Nasdaq fell by 3.1%. People are starting to question whether it's time for the hardware frenzy to cool down. What we have traditionally known to be expensive in AI, such as multi-billion-dollar data centers or custom machines with tens of thousands of GPUs, will gradually be replaced by models that are both cost-efficient and powerful, like Deeps. Moreover, what DeepSeek is offering to users is strongly challenging how the market in the future can access artificial intelligence in a much easier way. Specifically, here is a price list of the APIs and resources provided by DeepSeek to tech developers. We can see that Deep's pricing is much lower compared to other API providers, like OpenAI with models O1, O1 Preview, and O1 Mini. This challenges AI companies that still rely on significant profits from selling APIs to web and app developers. OpenAI has made over $500 million from this activity. So we can see that DeepSeek is challenging the world in a very Chinese way, focusing on competition over price and efficiency in production. However, the biggest question that needs to be asked is, how did they achieve this? Decoding the DeepSeek frenzy. Given what we know about DeepSeek and the AI market in general, it's appropriate to now start pointing out or answering some of the unclear aspects of this AI startup. First, the most obvious question is, how can DeepSeek offer such unexpectedly low prices? This is a comparison chart of the costs to train AI models on the market, and it shows that Deep's surprisingly low prices are the result of creating a chatbot with strength comparable to other models that cost tens of millions of dollars, using just over $5 million. Although there is still much debate surrounding this figure, it is certain that the cost to build DeepSeek is still lower than other models. But the question is, how do they do it? There may be many optimization methods, but what we'll explore in this article is that DeepSeek has used an AI training method called knowledge distillation. To put it simply, imagine training an AI model is like teaching a student who has no prior knowledge. There are two ways for the student to learn. One is to throw them dozens of textbooks and let the learning process unfold on its own. The other is to use a teacher who has mastered all the knowledge in the textbooks and the methods for solving problems. This teacher will become a reliable model for the student to mimic, making the learning process more focused and much easier. Training AI using the knowledge distillation method is similar. Instead of training an AI model on raw data, it is built based on the capabilities and behaviors of a larger, more reliable model. This saves a great deal of effort and resources in AI training, yet the results are still comparable to the teacher, AI. It sounds groundbreaking, but it's because of this mimicking behavior that OpenAI has accused the Chinese AI producer of violating terms of use by using ChatGPT to create competing chatbots. According to a Bloomberg report, OpenAI and its partners like Microsoft have been tracking and locking accounts suspected of using their API to distill knowledge for DeepSeek in recent investigations. It's unclear where this case will go, but this will be a challenge for AI developers regarding copyright and intellectual property, an issue that has been complex ever since the first chatbots were released. From previous allegations that OpenAI used unauthorized artist data to train its AI, OpenAI now faces accusations of being copied. Not only knowledge distillation, but DeepSeek also benefits from the massive databases already available worldwide, which have cost OpenAI, Meta, and Google billions to build. Therefore, it's no surprise that Deep's effort compared to others is not very significant. However, one must acknowledge that DeepSeek is doing very well in optimizing the advantage of being a latecomer. But that doesn't mean it will be the role model for the industry, as the training methods and use of data are still controversial. The movements of the world before the DeepSeek storm. In the face of waves from the emerging Chinese tech company, the United States has been actively lobbying and innovating to maintain its position as a leader in the AI market. On January 21st, during the first week of his new term, Donald Trump gathered leaders from OpenAI, Oracle, SoftBank, and MGX to discuss the Stargate project. This is the largest AI infrastructure project in history, with a total scale of $500 billion, and $100 billion will be invested this year. The project is expected to create more than 100,000 jobs. The main target of U.S. businesses and the government is massive data centers, which are currently held by Oracle. Texas will be the first state to build a data center for the Stargate project, followed by other states, aiming to dominate the world's information market. In addition, since DeepSeek still depends heavily on American resources, such as NVIDIA's processors and GPUs, the Trump administration is considering further restricting technology exports to China. NVIDIA's H20 chip will be in the crosshairs in the US-China trade tech war. It's unclear whether these restrictions will be passed, but the recent NVIDIA shock clearly shows more risks than benefits. Not only in technology, but DeepSeek is also challenging the political world, as concerns about security and AI-driven public opinion manipulation could become tools for the Chinese Communist Party. There have been many bills aiming to ban DeepSeek in the US, particularly in devices used by the government. Texas has become the first state to ban DeepSeek on government-issued devices. Governor Greg Abbott emphasized that the United States needs to be more proactive in protecting resources and personal information from China. Not only the US, but countries like Australia, Taiwan, and some European nations are also following this trend to ensure the integrity of national information. This is expected to be a long-lasting battle over technology and politics. One could say that the DeepSeek event is quite similar to the moment when the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1 in 1957, which began the space race between the US and the USSR. Today, with the appearance of Deeps, the US AI industry will be challenged and forced to develop faster and stronger to avoid being left behind by China in the 21st century AI race.